Hey everyone, this is Nitro. This video is a bit late this week, but I thought I would do the Nitro setup video for the week because it's actually pretty important. Quite a few changes have happened this past week, in large part due to Sleipnir, in fact. Fighting Sleipnir has caused me to change up quite a few things in my party as a result. So, with all that said, let's begin. And the very first thing I'm going to cover in this video, which is as usual, is my dragon farming results. So I'm just going to quickly bring that up and just, talk about it. It was a very, very good week last week in terms of dragon farming. The week before that, I only got 5 SSRs from Timeless Trials. Last week, I got 20. Now, keep in mind that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday had the 2 times Goddess Trials events, but 20 is still absolutely insane. Okay, so in terms of SSRs that I got, right, Timeless Trial was a Holy Arc, which is garbage. I've just been getting Holy Arc after Holy Arc lately. In truth, if I had kept them all, I think I would have 3 level 50 Holy Arcs right now. As it is, I have just 1, and I turned the rest into ore. So, Monday got me a Galaxy Cloak, which I actually kept. The reason I'm keeping a Galaxy Cloak is because you just don't have enough copies of Tenyo's dress. So, Galaxy Cloak, which offers 5% hit points and 5% hit points and 10% magic defense, is kind of a good temporary alternative, especially if you have to build a ton of mage sets like I do. Seal Guardian turned into ore. Tuesday, 5 runs, 200 ore, an Aces armor, assault armor. Wednesday, 4 runs, got me a carbon fiber helmet, a Twilight helmet, and also another carbon fiber helmet from Joint Battles. So all of that was ore. Thursday, 6 runs, gave me a carbon fiber helmet, a wind cutter dagger, and then 4 random accessory boxes gave me a Judge's Talisman. Now, the reason I did 6 runs this day was because I auto-battled my 5 in the morning, and then after that I realized we got the extra daily run. So I did 5 auto-battles and then did another manual battle for the second daily on Thursday. So, Friday, 5 runs, gave me nothing in terms of SSRs, but then a world map battle gave me my second Charon. And then 3 Helm Gambles gave me a Reaper's Breath, an Ace's Helmet, and Dark Crown. Turned all of that back into ore. So, I don't count the gambles in these 20, I should just mention, but yeah, let's continue. So, the reason I'm doing Helm Gambles though is because I really, really need a second King's Crown, and a second Tenyo's headdress would be nice to have too. So you're going to likely see me start doing Helm Gambles if I get a whole bunch of SSRs the way I did this week. Continuing on, Saturday, 4 runs gave me an additional 2 carbon fiber helmets, so 200 ore. A joint battle gave me a mirror armor, and I actually kept this mirror armor for now. And then Sunday, 4 runs gave me a mistletoe and Nighthawk, both is more ore. And a world map event gave me a vampire mask, which was my 3rd one, in fact. So if I'm just going to quickly jump back into the game for now to quickly mention the gear I have sitting around. So, in terms of gear I currently have sitting around, I have a mirror armor at level 30 with the new one so that I can raise it to level 40. Yeah. Just going to keep this around because mirror armors are quite a solid option for PvP. Yeah. I do have 2 bloodline magic armors that could be upgraded and used for PvP, but I haven't upgraded them yet. We'll see. Yeah. I'm definitely going to keep both of them though. Eventually they will be raised up. Other than that, sitting around gear includes, a Cursed Lance, Mjolnir, a Throne Guardian that's actually at level 50, a second Dragon Slayer Gram, and a second Blood Sword Hunting. So that's pretty much the SSR gear I currently have sitting around. Oh, and of course, the 2 new Vampire Masks, right? So my Vampire Mask on Leon, then I have a second one at level 20 and a 3rd one. going to keep my hands on all of these because applying defense debuffs on the enemy is always useful. So they're worth keeping a hold of. Although I don't know when I'm actually going to level them up. We'll see. And yeah, and at the top here you can see I did raise up my clothesline pole a bit because I was thinking that I would need it for Sleipnir on Ultimuller, but it didn't quite work out because with clothesline pole, Ultimuller still can't use his Windride, Raging Thunder attack to get the Windride buff of 15% damage reduction. So ultimately I just removed it for now. So it'll just continue to sit here. You know, I just don't know if there'll ever be a use for a clothesline pole, and in the situations where I may need it, I'm gonna have one that can easily be raised to level 50. There is also the Eye of the Beholder because it has the chance to reduce enemies' damage dealt by 15%. So it's a nice debuff to be able to apply on the enemy, especially with a mage attack. So I'm going to hold on to these as well. Not leveled up yet. Finally, there is a Yggdrasil Reef, level 50. This one I really should equip. It's just been sitting around for whatever reason. And then there's other items that are sitting around. For example, Lifini has a level 40 Vidar's Rose. You know, Sonya has a set of gear but that's more meant for PvE purposes. You know, there's a few level 20s like, and they're all just gear that's used more for PvE than PvP. But yeah, I actually have more than 15 sets, a bunch more than 15 sets in truth. But yeah, the gear has its uses. It makes my life easier for, let's say, doing guild wars every day, as opposed to having moving gear around all the time. So that's why I have them. You know, just as a quick example, Sonya, right, has a level 50 Steel Guardian, an Arcane Battle Garb at level 30, you know, a Rebirth Breath at level 50, and a level 20 Judge's Talisman. You know, if I get more copies of these, I'll raise these up slowly, but it's actually relatively usable for Sonya right now. At the very least, she can't one-shot characters at the level 65 version of Guild Wars, but the level 62, the level 60 and so on, she's actually able to do very well with this set. Just like this. So, building up a whole bunch of extra gear. My priority right now, surprisingly, is still building up additional sets of mage gear. You know, because while I do have a good number of sets, you can always use more. Like, for example, Renee has a set here, right? Rachel has a set with a Soul Stealer headdress that needs to be raised up to level 50. She's also using a Meditation Ring and the leftover Black Bride that's currently not equipped on Lena because I'd have to reroll the enchants a bit to move this clock set over to Lena. For now, I'm finding Breeze is a better enchant for PvP purposes than clocks. I find it's more important for Lena to get within 2 range of the enemy to launch her single target strike skills. But that may change. You know? I may have to eventually change my Lena to a AoE attack Lena, and in that case, the clocks enchant may end up being better. I don't know yet. We'll see. But currently, there is a level 50 Black Bride, but it has the clocks enchant. I don't know if I should change that over to a Breeze enchant, so that Lena can move into 2 range and consistently attack that way, right? But in that case, I would have to reroll this one, or reroll another piece of equipment to clocks for Lena to use, right? So there's no rush on this change. So, you know, Lena is actually one-shotting characters for me in general whenever I use a single target strike. So since it's working out, I have not seen a need to change these items. I really do think overall, the Black Bride is more meant for PvE purposes than PvP, so we'll leave it as is for now. But the Soul Stealer headdress really should be moved to someone for PvP. For example, if I can roll a good enchant on it, I would love to replace Bozel's Dark Crown, right? But I'd need to roll at least 15% magic defense increase, ideally with a hit point increase the way it currently has on the Dark Crown that Bozel has equipped. So there's no rush, you know, I need 3 Epic Martial Spirits for this, and yeah, it's not a high priority item. Nice to have is what it is. But I'd have to keep re-rolling this enchant until I get a 15% magic defense increase. And currently, I do not have any real clocks enchants, there's 3. So maybe when I stock them on a bunch more, I'll start re-rolling and hopefully get a really good magic defense increasing enchant, and then the Soul Stealer headdress will go onto Bozo at that point. Continuing on, Shafaniel currently has a set of gear with a level 40 Goddess Dress. This level 40 Goddess Dress is actually meant for Yulia. So that's why it's been built up. One sad thing is I accidentally used the Epic Martial Spirit on this, upgrading this to Goddess Dress. I had 2 Goddess Dresses, so I meant to raise it up to level 30, and I accidentally used one of my Epic Martial Spirits instead of the Goddess Dress. So I have a level 41. I guess I wasted 200 ore, but at the end of the day, 200 ore long term is not a huge deal, I guess. It is what it is. So, but Shafaniel has a set of gear so that she can be used for now, temporarily. But eventually I am going to have to replace this Goddess Dress with another armor. So you can see I currently only have 2 Tenyo's robes. And thus, maybe 3 actually. I think there's one on Lana, one on Liana, and then actually a third one, which is currently on Rene with a Clocks enchant. Yeah, 3. So I may have to re-roll this one to give it to someone else, particularly my healers, right? But that's more of a to-do item. It's not required at this time, and we'll see on that. So with regards to the Yggdrasil Reef with the Full Moon enchant, because my Tiaris equipment has been changed, she's using 2 hit point increasing enchants, so 2 Tree of Life and 2 Steel. That's giving her plus 20% hit points, which is giving her extra survivability for PvP. So because of that, that's why she currently is not using the Yggdrasil Reef. But frankly speaking, this Sage's Hat has an insane enchant. 13% hit points, 3% int with another 6 int. It's basically it's really an amazing enchant for Sage's Hat. Makes it very usable even for PvP purposes. Right. So the Full Moon enchant on that Yggdrasil Reef is what is temporarily preventing it from being used, in large part because Iris is bringing a Charon. Right? I've built up 3 Charons now. There is one with a Full Moon enchant, which is currently on Iris. That's one change. There is one with a Steel enchant on Hein, and then there is one with a Crystal enchant on Ledin. So 3 Charons, all very usable. I can now get 3 attempts to debuff the enemy with all damage received plus 15% for the Ancient Beckoning battles, which is key. I just now need to make sure I have a set of gear, Crystal enchant gear, so that, let's say, I can have Liana bring the Crystal enchant instead of her current Full Moon set of gear, right? But we'll see, because what I've noticed is Tenyo's headdress has been helping out as well. It's a random buff, but the random buff also helps, so we'll see on that one. Sometimes, for example, characters get plus 20% damage dealt. Sometimes they get, the equivalent of the prayer heal. So Tenyo's headdress, even for Ancient Beckoning, works out quite well. We'll see. So that is pretty much all the new gear I've built so far. There has been quite a few items, so it's been a pretty good thing. So, with that mentioned, I'm now going to talk about what is arguably a mistake that I made. As you all know, I did 130 summons on the Yulia and Omega banner, and I ended up with a copy of Yulia and Omega and a second copy of Yulia, right? A second copy of Omega. After thinking about it, I was desperate to get another copy of Yulia so I can use her for Season 2, Apex Arena. You need 2 copies to be able to bring Yulia to 6 stars in time. So I decided ultimately to draw some more, and I totally lost control. I ended up doing around 170 to 200 extra summons. It was Trinity vouchers and crystals I was saving up. I did get a second copy of Yulia, so it was a success in that sense. I ended up with, in fact, 3 more Omegas and 1 Yulia. So my Omega is now at 138 shards out of 150, while Yulia is only at 55 out of 100. So I'm going to have to grind Yulia. I really wish it was rotated, but the end result is I'm going to bring Omega up to 6 stars, right? It's going to take me 4 days. So Omega is 100% going to reach 6 stars, and Yulia is going to be a slow grind as a result. This is a good thing in some ways because I have 2 very usable characters very soon. The huge drawback of this is I have barely any Trinity vouchers left. 11 and 3,300 crystals. And the only reason I have 3,300 crystals is because of the Strategist Squad gift, and which gave me 20 vouchers. And I got 2,500 crystals last month because I did a lot of good videos and Slong Games gave me extra crystals. The normal amount of crystals you get is around 1,200 per month, so I got basically double that, 2,500 along, and I used some of my Strategist Squad points that I collect for creating videos to get these 20 vouchers. So it's allowing me to continue to draw, and hopefully I'll have a good amount saved up for December 19th, when Yu Yu Hakusho comes. But yeah, it's going to be a huge gamble, long story short. I don't know how I'm going to do for the Yu Yu Hakusho banner. Fingers crossed on that one. So, with all those draws, let me just quickly show. I currently have 6513 memory shards, or memory essence, right? If I bring up the previous amount of memory essence that I had, when I first drew on the banner, the 130 draws on Yulia Omega, I ended up with 7,333 memory shards. Now, December, I purchased my runestone, right? So that put me at 3833. I currently have 6513, so it means I got 2,680 additional memory shards after I did those first 130 draws. So yeah, I think to get the 2,680 memory shards, I think I did do around 170 draws on the Yulia Omega banner. So that meant I did a total of around 300 draws on it. So it just shows how many draws I did on this banner. Alright, so with that said, I should now talk about my plan for memory shard grinding. And I actually created a nice little sheet to demonstrate that, as you see here. So, yesterday, I had 135 out of 150 Omega shards on Wednesday. Thus, I am going to grind them up to 6 stars right away. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 days, and Omega will be done. Just like that. My remaining runs, the 3 of them are going to Rachel for now, and 3 of them will be going to Yulia. The reason I'm raising up Rachel is because I realize I need to use her for the Nidhogg Ancient Beckoning battle. So my goal is to bring Rachel up to 5 stars. So that's my priority. Yulia is a must because I need to grind her up to 6 stars in time for the end of Apex Arena, so probably the playoffs. Rachel, of course, is for Ancient Beckoning. Omega is because he's on the verge of hitting 6 stars. Once Omega is done, I'm switching to Landius, because Landius is currently at 117 out of 150 shards. So by grinding up Landius, he will be done this month by the 20th. Right? Friday, the 20th. So once he's done then, I can then switch to, let's say if I get Yusuke, I can switch to start grinding Yusuke shards here. That I'm not sure about. My current plan is to actually do first clear runs here. And the reason for that is because I actually found out that I have 11 characters whose Gates of Fates have not been done yet. So 11 characters is actually a total of 58 runs in their Gate of Fates that I have to do. I think 10 of them have 5 Gate of Fates, and then one of them is Di Harto, who has 8 Gate of Fate runs. So I have to do 58 runs in total to clear all of their Gate of Fates. So the characters I have are Iris, Serena, Wilder, Gizaroth, Alestriel, Sigma, Lambda, Sakura, Sumere, Lifany, and Di Harto. So tons of characters, as you see here, that I have to grind, have to do their clears. And my plan is I'm going to clear all 11, because that way, by clearing them all, I will have them ready for the Yu Yu Hakusho second banner. You know? Each of them would give me approximately, let's say, in total, these 11 characters should give me around 50 to 60 Trinity vouchers, right? So this is my plan to get enough Trinity vouchers to draw on both banners. Because, once again, if I bring up the banners guide to March 2020 pretty quickly by Reddit user Boom Boom Gun, we have on the 19th the Kurama Yusuke banner, where I really want to get Yusuke. In fact, I absolutely need to get him, I think. So, and then on December 2nd, there is going to be the Hiei banner and Toguro Brothers, the second Yu Yu Hakusho banner. And on this one, I definitely want to get Hiei. So, my basic plan is draw like crazy until I get Yusuke and stop. And then probably draw to get Hiei. And if I succeed in getting both, I may draw on this banner, the 3-character banner, the guaranteed new character banner, to get Claret. Because I have Luna, I have Tiaris. My first draw of an SSR, if successful, will get me Claret. But that's going to wait until the 3rd, depending on whether I get Hiei and Yusuke successfully. Right? If I don't get them and I've used up all my draws, then I'm going to ignore Claret entirely. Because ultimately, the only reason for me to get Claret is actually just to collect her. I don't plan to use her at all. I'm never going to be grinding up her shards. There's too many characters for shards that I need to grind. And the reason, and we can see it right here in this chart as well, right? Characters that I plan on grinding are listed right here. Bozo needs 80 shards, which means 20 days, right? Juggler needs a whole bunch of shards as well. He needs 79 shards, which is going to take 26.3 days. 27 days, you know, with a few extra runs to spare. Listel, to bring her up to 6 stars, needs 150 shards. That's 50 days. Leonhard is the same. 150 shards, 50 days. Shafaniel is the same. 150 shards, 50 days. Bernhard needs 148 shards. Now, Bernhard, you can grind 4 shards per day, so that's 37 days. But that's 4 shards per day, right? That's rough. Renee, if I were to bring her up to 5 stars, she actually needs 85 shards. Sorry, this should be 15 out of 100 is her current status. So I need 85 shards, which is 28.3 days, right? Making her 5 stars would make her much more powerful in terms of DPS with Renee Annihilation for those challenge battles. Continuing on, Alte Muller, if I bring him up to 5 stars, that needs 95 shards. That's 23.8 days if I grind 4 per day. Joshua, right? Joshua, I'm looking at building because he has use for Ancient Beckoning, and he's also a pretty solid character who can faction buff time and space. So if I grind him up, I would bring him up to 5 stars. There's no way I'm going to bring him up to 6 stars. But that needs 135 shards in total, and that's another 45 days, right? Sakura, same thing. If I grind Sakura up, it would be for her heal reversal skill, Hyaka Rorin, and she would need to be brought up to 5 stars as well, because I can't afford to 6-star her. But that's still 135 shards, 3 shards per day, that's 45 runs. I'm assuming 135 shards because when I do the first clear of her, right, that would give me 15 shards right there. So Lanford's grind would be for PvE content so that he can buff up my allies in the range around him. That would be another 5-star character to make, another 45 days. Gizaroth would be brought for his Mythical Realm buff, because there's so many characters who are part of the mythical realm. So using Gizaroff, and he can also drop a summon, right? When he dies, he drops a summon as well to allow you to maintain your turns properly. Like, it's going to be pretty important, I think, for Gizaroff to be used in Season 3. At least that's how I feel. So, because summons will no longer be acting on their own turn. So the fact that Gizaroff dying does create a summon will help a lot in terms of not allowing the enemy to move two or three characters at the end of their turn after you've lost the character. It allows you to pull off comebacks, come from behind victories, basically, is what I'm saying. So Gizaroff, another character to build for PvP, which means 5 stars, which means 150 shards, which means more shards I need to grind of a character that I want to level up, but I don't know how I'm going to fit in. And finally, Wyler, right? Wyler has great utility, but he is lower on the priority list because there's so many other characters I need to grind. But if I grind him up, you really do want him at 6 stars ideally to use, right? So I mentioned that in the previous video because of his death AoE healing effect. It extends the time that it lasts, so 285 shards with 3 shards a day is going to be 95 days. I don't know how I'm going to grind all these characters. Long story short, you can only grind 3 at a time, and there's a huge list here. In addition to that, we have Yusuke and Hiei both in December. Well, Yusuke's in December, Hiei's at the start of January, and then young Jessica comes in February. Right. So I am absolutely going to ignore Rainforce and Betty, but Prime Jessica and Emilia, I don't see any way for me to build up Emilia, who is yet another tank, but Prime Jessica is possible, especially if I built up a mythical realm, Gizaroff, and then after that there will be other banners in the future. So how I fit them all in, I really don't know. I may entirely just skip this banner as well, in truth. What I may actually do is wait for a focus banner to get Emilia and Prime Jessica in the future, and instead of drawing for them, I may end up trying to draw duplicate characters. For example, if I can draw Bozal here, or trade my Landius for Bozal, that gives me 50 shards of Bozal, which can cut down some of my upgrade time, because that would be 50 shards, and then I would only need to do 30 shards to finish up Bozal. Right? So that's likely what I'm going to do. I'm in the phase where I'm no longer really collecting characters anymore. I'm going to have to start giving up on additional characters like Rainforce and Betty, Prime Jessica and Emilia, and instead go for characters to bring them up to 6 stars, like Landius and Bozal. Shafaniel and Yulia to finish upgrading my Shafaniel, because Shafaniel really needs to be 6 stars to be used. So that's likely my future plan. Right? These 2 banners to upgrade characters instead of getting new ones. For good or for ill, I think that's the method I have to take. And then Prime Jessica and Emilia, I just don't see any, looking at it further, I don't see any time where I can actually grind them up. Right? I'm going to have to finish off these characters before I even look at young Jessica. Like, at the very least, to use young Jessica, you need Gizaroff upgraded. So many things to do, right? Too many characters to grind, Gizaroff will need to be upgraded for his faction buff, and so on. Maybe I'm going to, for sure, upgrade Gizaroff to 4 stars, and maybe I'll try him out at 4 stars. We'll see. So, with all that covered, in terms of shard grinding and so on, actually, I should mention, let's jump back into the game now. So, it will be a good thing for me, because at the very least, this month, Omega and Landius will both be finished, right? Rachel will be finished on, it looks like Sunday, December 29th. And with him finished here, I can then afford to start to use her for Ancient Beckoning and then start grinding up other characters, right? For example, I see here I have 5 Gate of Fate runs to unlock everyone, so that on the 3rd, everyone is done, right? All the 11 Gate of Fates have been cleared. I'll have 50 or 60 new Trinity vouchers to use, and I can use those 50 or 60 to try to get a copy of Hiei. Or I may, on the 1st, the very last day of the UU of the Yusuke banner, draw like crazy to get my Yusuke, right? So this is my current plan, you know. And then after that, you know, Yulia keeps grinding. And then after I've done all these Gate of Fate runs, I'm going to start working on Juggler to bring Juggler to 6 stars as well. And then I will be able to grind another character as well at that time, which will be either Yusuke or Hiei. At least that's my thoughts. So that's my current grind plan. And then after these characters are finished, I'll start figuring out who to work on among this list. Listel, Leonhard, Shafaniel, you know, Bernhard, and so on. So I have very much reached the point where I have to draw for duplicates to start bringing characters to 6 stars, for good or for ill. But it looks like from January, February, and March, there's really not many characters I actually need to focus on drawing for, which is good. Because it'll allow me to get duplicates, and most importantly, this equipment banner will actually be very important for me. Because if I plan to use Yusuke, I need to have a copy of the Mimir's Warhammer. So what I'm going to do is most likely get a copy of Bozel in this banner, get the Mimir's Warhammer from the equipment banner, ignore Prime Jessica and Emilia, and then draw on likely the Shafaniel Yulia banner to get a few copies of Shafaniel, probably 1, if not 2, to have her be easily finished. And then from there, in March, I'll start looking at those new banners that will be coming up. In terms of new banners, for example, there's a whole bunch of new characters coming up that are not listed here yet because it's so far off, right? We're still 3 months away from all of that stuff in March. But if I bring up the Langrisser page, I can show at least some of the new characters that will be upcoming. I'm not going to do previews of them here, but just to demonstrate the characters, right? So, here we go. New characters include, for example, Akaya, and she's one character that I really want because she brings back summons. She makes summons good again, right? Whenever a unit dies, she drops a summon, and then the summons allows her to use skills that will provide buffs to your allies. For example, you can destroy the wolf spirit, and then do AoE damage, magic damage, and inflict debuffs on the enemy. You can have the summon be destroyed to teleport a character to where the wolf spirit was. And then if that character had acted previously, it can act again. So there's lots of ways to make use of those summons that are created. And because it applies to whenever a unit dies, it can be summons. Right? So your other characters who can create summons can have those summons get killed to create wolf spirits, which allows Akaya to use skills, which is just a very, very unique mechanic. Definitely a character I want to build up when she's released. But she is quite far away. She was very recently released, if I recall, on the Chinese server. So we're like, since we are around 6.5 months behind them, we're probably not going to get her until May. So, and then I think June is likely when we get Ashram and, well, we get the Lodos Wars collaboration banner, right? Ashram, and then, who else was on that banner? Delit and SR characters include Parn and Pyrotes. So that's probably around June, summer. Other than that, other characters that have not been shown yet include Brenda. It includes, Mystery Knight, and there should be one more, Virash. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of SSRs here that we see, but are not coming out yet. So I believe Brenda and Virash and Mystery Knight are all characters who come in March, April, right? I already said May is Akaya, and then June would be Delit and Ashram. So a whole bunch of new characters coming in those upcoming months. But yeah, so that is the way it currently looks. So, with all that said, I'm going to finally jump back into the game. And now, the thing to talk about next is, because of those 170 draws that I've done, I finished up another SR, Imelda. Fortunately, those 170 draws gave me 2 copies of Imelda, so she is now at long last at 6 stars. Right. In terms of remaining SR characters I have to finish, there is Chris, there is Vargas, there is Serena. Angelica finishes herself from World Map events, so I'm kind of ignoring her. So 3 characters left of my SRs, right? Chloe, Iris, and Olivier, you can't finish unless you grind their shards or until their event comes back. I believe when their event reruns, you get a second opportunity to get their shards, right? So I'm personally going to have to wait for that. I already covered how many SSR characters I have to grind. No way in hell am I going to ever have time to grind up Chloe, Iris, or Olivier. And you know what? That's fine, because Chloe and Iris are already usable in PvP at 5 stars. So, in terms of the remaining characters, Vargas and Chris, and I guess Serena. Well, Serena I'm never really going to use. That's another tank to upgrade that requires runestones, and I'm never going to have runestones to give to her, so she's not going to be used, for me anyways. But Vargas is, I feel, pretty much the same, unfortunately. I'd have to runestone him to make him top tier, and I don't think I'm ever going to have the runestones to give to Vargas anytime soon. But Chris needs 55 shards, Vargas needs 55 shards, but the advantage of Chris is this current running event on Thursday, which is the Season of Giving, will give SR hero Chris shards, it looks like. So it means Chris is probably finished as well, leaving me just effectively 2 SRs left to build, but I used neither of them, so things are good, in other words. Vargas and Serena can be left alone. So, once Chris is done as well, that puts me at 37 out of 40 on the 6-star heroes, right? Omega will put me at 38, Landius will put me at 39. So I am actually very, very close to hitting 40 6-star heroes, which will give me another 10 Trinity vouchers. We'll see. It's very possible that I may get 3 copies of Vargas, right, while drawing for Yusuke, and then if I get 3 copies of him, Vargas will be done as well, and then I'm going to end up with those 10 additional Trinity vouchers for having 40 6-star heroes. So we'll see about that. So, I already talked about my gear change, because the main changes this week has been the 3 new Charons as well as the Goddess Dress. And in terms of enchants, I'm not really going to go over that. I mean, clearly with 3 new Charons, I re-rolled the enchants on them a bunch. You can see here I have a Galaxy Cloak at level 40. That's what that Galaxy Cloak that I kept for was. It was level 30, now it's at level 40, and then I turned it to Steel for an additional hit point increase. So I do want to raise this to level 50, so that Tiaris has even more hit points for more survivability. But I believe 5,700 hit points, 5,800, is enough to survive in PvP successfully in general. Right? Liana, of course, has a lot more, but Tiaris is okay with 5,800. At the very least, that's around the amount all my other healers have at this time. Chloe is sitting on, 5,600, I guess, and Iris is sitting on around the same, right? 2,800 plus 2,800, so 5,600 as well. So all my healers other than Liana are pretty much at the same state of 5,800 hit points, which is what I expect. If I need more hit points, they're all going to have to be upgraded. Long story short. And yeah, so in terms of gear changes, it's just been rolling, trying to get plus int on these items so that they can attack and do good damage. Rolling for a bit more hit points, I don't think that matters as much, so it's more just getting additional int on these at this time. And so because they all have the same amount of hit points, I'm going to wait and see in terms of re-rolling hit points. Because if I have to re-roll one, I'm going to have to re-roll all 3, long story short. They're all my healers' hit points should be roughly the same, so that I know where they should be maintained at. I guess one final change is, so I'm not going to go over any other gear at this time. You know, eventually I'll do a full disclosure video of all my gear again, but not right now, because that's going to take a very long time. Training grounds wise, not much has changed over the past few weeks. I mean, I've started focusing a bit more on my Holy Training Ground, so I've raised this Holy Light Protection from level 9 to level 8. I'm going to want it at level 9 for sure, but that all depends on whether I can get these SSR materials. It is completely a hard cap on my growth right now, that my SSR items are so lacking in terms of the training grounds. It's really affecting my ability to clear Ancient Beckoning as well. So I'm starting to do the upgrades though. I've upgraded core attack to level 16 here, and we'll see. What I'm waiting for right now is I'm going to go wild on grinding up the Anarchies eventually, but I'm just going to wait for the level 70 Anarchies to appear. Right? It'll be a slightly improved chance of getting SSRs, and that's what I need. So I think that comes with the new year, with the 1 year anniversary, which is going to happen in January. And in preparation for that, I've been slowly stocking up on burgers, for good or for ill. Yes, I could use these 104 burgers right now and get like 300 runs of Anarchy runs, but you know what? I think it's better to do those runs all at once when the level 70 version arrives. It's going to be quite some grind, but my plan is hopefully at that time I can simply just auto battle it, right? Because most people auto battle these Anarchy fights as it is. So as long as I can auto battle them, it shouldn't be too bad. Just have my tablet, auto battle it, then do something else. You know, go back to it every 15 minutes or so. Eventually you'll get them all done. And though that's pretty much all my plans at this time. I guess the final thing to talk about would be bond upgrades that I've done recently. And it's really just been trying to upgrade the characters I need for Ancient Beckoning. I'm not really sure I've upgraded anyone new, if I'm perfectly honest. I've done a few more upgrades on Iris, I think, right? Increasing her heal ability, because I realized my Iris needs to heal more for Sleipnir. But other than that, not much has changed. I think I did a few on Hein. Not much though. Like I increased his toughness a bit since my Hein is my tank for Sleipnir. But and I think I raised this to level 4 so that he could potentially get the additional 10% damage reduction. But as it is, it's more I'm going to save up materials, upgrade the characters I need whenever something pops up, because after Sleipnir will be Jormungandr, and I may need to do some upgrades for Jormungandr as well. So we'll see. And that covers everything. Not too... I mean, this was a video more about my strategy for the next month, and that's why it took so long. Nonetheless, I hope you found all this information useful to you. Clearly, you really need to plan out your characters, grinding, and so on, because it's become incredibly important, I think, in terms of getting characters fully upgraded for PvP purposes, as well as balancing that out with the upgrades you need to do PvE content, especially Ancient Beckoning properly. So my plan overall will likely not get me S rank for all of these Sleipnir battles. I just don't see myself getting S rank for a lot of them until I purely focus on grinding all the characters to 6 stars or whatever. But you know what? That's fine, because at the end of the day, even if as long as I get at least A or A+, you're still getting a lot of the Super Mastery chests along with the Advanced Mastery ones. So I'd be satisfied with A in truth. Although my ultimate aim is A+ for everything with S rank whenever possible. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Once again, I hope you found this video useful. It was very long, and on that note, Nitro out.